Shall we start? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Hiroshi Wada. Yeah, enchanté. So I don't speak French, so I will make a presentation by my English. I'm Hiroshi Wada. I am a supervisor of the conservation science division in Tokyo National Museum, yeah, Japan. Yeah. So today I want to show you this theme, protecting cultural heritage for the future, and science and sustainability at the Tokyo National Museum. Yeah, this is my presentation theme. And Tokyo National Museum is part of a larger organization called National Institutes for Cultural Heritage. This organization includes the 5 national museums, as shown here. And as shown here, this organization has 3 research institutes and 2 national centers. For example, the Cultural Heritage Disaster Risk Management Center at the bottom right works to protect the cultural properties from the various disasters that occur across Japan. As you can see in this video, the Tokyo National Museum is located within a park and museum surrounded by beautiful nature, a lot of green. There are several buildings located within the museum grounds. Some of these buildings have exhibition rooms. Others contain storage facilities. And there are also buildings equipped with studios for the conservation of museum objects. Okay, each of these buildings was constructed in a different period. The numbers indicate the opening years of each building. By overlaying the visitor map onto the aerial photograph, you can clearly see the overall layout of the buildings. This Honkan building shown on this map was opened in 1938. Therefore, 2038 will mark its 100th anniversary. Therefore, the Tokyo National Museum has recently established a Tokyo National Museum 2038 vision. Here is the mission statement. The Tokyo National Museum is currently and actively building friendly relations with international institutions like yours. We look forward to creating various collaborative projects with all of you in the future. And from here, I would like to introduce the activities of the Conservation Science Division, which I belong to. The Tokyo National Museum is very large, but the Conservation Science Division is actually quite small compared to the in other countries. As shown here, the division consists of 2 sections, and there are numbers of staff in each. The first is the preventive conservation section. Its mission to maintain cultural properties in stable condition through scientific research and environmental control. The second is a restoration section with a staff of 9. This section performs various restoration tasks every day. I would also like to explain the various facilities that support our work. We have several conservation studios located within the Honkan, which is our historic main building, as you can see. These images also show the restoration of some of our very unique objects. We have specialized rooms for polishing swords and crafting swords cases. Because our staff cannot cover every skill, we often invite external experts to do this work. Furthermore, we have new facilities. In 2019, we established a new conservation facility. There are 4 rooms located on the ground floor, as shown in this photograph. This studio is dedicated to the restoration of 3-dimensional objects. And this studio is dedicated to the restoration of paper-based objects. And this studio is not for performing restorations, but is used as a space for scientific analysis to investigate the materials and structures. Finally, this is the last studio in this building, which is dedicated to the restoration of textile objects. These 4 studios are designed to allow visitors to observe the restoration inside through a glass wall here, corridor. We regularly organize guided tours for general public. This is one of our new projects. We believe that it is important for people to understand how we protect cultural properties. In another building, we also have equipment to visualize the internal structures of cultural properties. Here is a large-scale X-ray CT scanner. Now, I would like to explain how we approach the conservation of cultural properties using the organization and the facilities I have just described. So, what you see on the screen now are some examples of the various types of damage found on cultural properties at the Tokyo National Museum. Of course, we want to prevent such damages. However, without any preventive measures, cultural properties can easily be damaged. Therefore, it can be said cultural properties and the risk of damage are closely linked. Under these circumstances, so let's consider the approach we should take. First, it's essential to understand the structure and materials of the cultural properties. In other words, it means understanding the condition of cultural properties. Next, we create the best environment for each cultural property to maintain its current condition. However, unfortunately, some cultural properties continue to deteriorate over many years. Furthermore, many objects already have significant damage when they are added to the museum collection. In such cases, it is necessary to perform restoration. The most important point here is that restoration is regarded as the final option. In other words, we should focus on avoiding the need for restoration. I will begin by explaining the process of understanding. We can see their condition with the naked eyes, but we need scientific technology to see their internal structures and materials. And scientific methods, as shown here, have become essential for modern museums. For example, in past, this X-ray fluorescence, XRF analysis could only provide elemental data from tiny spots. However, with today's advanced technology, we can scan the entire surface of a cultural property to visualize the elemental composition as a color map. So visualizing invisible information within cultural properties is highly effective for assessing their condition. Furthermore, through X-ray CT scanning, it has become possible to get three-dimensional information of internal structures non-destructively. This facility is designed for X-ray CT scanning of cultural properties, including two large-scale X-ray CT units. As shown here, high-energy X-rays hit the object while it is rotated. By adjusting the scanning position, even large-scale artifacts can be captured. Here is an animation illustrating the process. We can get cross-sectional data from various directions, which is then reconstructed into a 3D model. In the case of this Buddhist statue, the scan revealed it smaller statue inside its head. Here is a small Buddhist statue inside his head. In the past, such information could only be obtained by disassembling the object. Non-destructive 3D visualization changes historical study completely. Okay. As shown, the importance of investigating the condition of cultural properties using the latest scientific technology continues to grow. But I mentioned this, massive amount of digital information are collected daily. So as we collect more high-density data, we must also consider the huge storage capacity required to keep it. On the other hand, museums also preserve a large amount of analog records. How to manage these different types of media is a critical issue for the future. Here is a summary. Understanding the structure and materials of a cultural property leads to an assessing of its condition. Using this information, we develop plans to maintain the object's condition. Our task is to optimize the environment to prevent damage. Essentially, this means keeping and maintaining the current condition of the cultural property. From here, I would like to discuss the concept of preventive conservation. In preventive conservation, our top priority is understanding the causes of damage. Here are three examples. Identifying the causes is usually very difficult, but for this discussion, I have simplified the relationship between damages and causes in this slide. The next question is where the damage happened. If we found the cause, and the location where the damage happened is clearly revealed. In other words, that location is the environment of museum. So what kind of environments was the cultural property exposed to? In the case of these three types of damage, we can consider three environments as shown here. Storage environment, exhibition environment, and transportation environment. These three environments cause the degradation leading to the types of damage you see here. To avoid such damage, we must improve the environments by removing the causes. This is the concrete essence of preventive conservation. An important aspect of preventive conservation is maintaining a safe museum environment. So what exactly does the museum environment mean? We can better understand it by looking at how cultural properties move during museum activities. Many objects are kept in storage for long periods. Occasionally, they are moved to the exhibition rooms, and after the exhibition period, they return to the storage. So this movement is basically a back and forth between storage and exhibition room. Therefore, the museum environment consists of three parts: the storage environment and exhibition environment and transportation environment between them. This diagram shows the relationship between deterioration and restoration. With the condition on the vertical axis, the time on the horizontal axis. Traditionally, cultural properties were used until their condition became poor, and then restoration was done for recovering the condition. But without changing the environment, the same deterioration happens again. This cycle was normal in the past, but the problem is its total dependence on restoration. Of course, restoration significantly improved their condition. However, there is an important point to consider. The important point is that restoration should be the final option. This image shows the restoration process of a wooden Buddhist statue. It is a full-scale restoration, including disassembly. As you can see, it's evident that such large-scale restoration cannot be repeated many times. Moreover, restoration can sometimes put stress on cultural properties. This diagram illustrates the effects of preventive conservation. When the environment is improved, the rate of deterioration slows down. In some cases, it may even be possible to maintain the condition without deterioration. As a result, the frequency of restoration decreases. Fewer restorations means less stress on cultural properties. Of course, This also leads to a reduction in restoration costs. From here, I would like to explain the specific actions of preventive conservation. First, it is essential to understand the environment. These are some of the activities to understand and monitor the environment in TNM. The key point is the visualization and evaluation of the results from environmental measurements. Finally, based on the evaluation of the environment, we improve the areas that have problems. Japan has a unique approach in preventive conservation. In Japan, earthquake mitigation is essential for museum safety because earthquakes occur so frequently, so protecting cultural properties is a constant requirement. These photos show the damage at the Tokyo National Museum during a massive earthquake about 100 years ago. The left image shows an exhibition room in the Tokyo National Museum at that time. And the right shows the destroyed the former Honkan building. In 1995, a massive earthquake in Western Japan destroyed many cultural properties. Without protection, artifacts in storage can easily fall over. Strong shaking can topple display cases, break glass, and destroy exhibited objects. This event triggered Japan's scientific approach to museum earthquake mitigation. In the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake, a large number of cultural properties were affected by the tsunami. In the case of tsunami damage, the artifacts become saturated with water. Therefore, biological degradation will rapidly progress unless conservation treatment starts immediately. Even now, 15 years later, the restoration work for cultural properties damaged in 2011 is still ongoing. These are the conditions following the Kumamoto earthquake in 2016. Due to severe vibration, the stone walls of the Kumamoto castle was destroyed. Along with restoration, experts from across Japan gathered to carry out salvage operations. To prepare for the earthquakes, we need to know what happens to an exhibition room during a disaster. We can learn this by checking past records and running large-scale tests. These experiments provide important data. Seismic isolators are installed in exhibition cases to protect the artifacts from earthquake damage. When developing new isolators, we simulate past earthquakes to verify their performance. So these countermeasures are also one of the preventive conservation activities. In addition to improving the environment, predicting the future environment is also important. With new technologies emerging daily, we use advanced simulation and visualization to improve preventive conservation. This is our basic approach at the Tokyo National Museum. Finally, I would like to speak about the restoration. As shown here, different restoration techniques exist for each category of cultural property. These techniques differ depending on the field, materials, and structure of the cultural property. Furthermore, the scale of the restoration depends on the degree of damage. As a museum, we are responsible for managing these restoration projects. We classify the restoration of cultural properties into two main categories based on their scale. First, small-scale restoration is referred to as remedial restoration. This type of restoration assumes that the damage is limited. Therefore, the scale of the restoration is small. Remedial restoration is constantly required in museum activities. At our museum, various restorations are carried out within our conservation studios and exhibition rooms. Emergency restorations is carried out in a special exhibition gallery immediately before an object is exhibited. Or there are cases where we must perform emergency restorations on cultural properties that have been damaged in a sudden accident. Next, I would like to explain full-scale restoration. These are historical archives held by the Tokyo National Museum. In addition to artworks, we have an extensive collection of library and archival documents. This book is a vital record of our museum's history. However, due to its fragile condition, it cannot be safely handled or read. Therefore, I will present a project focused on the restoration of this book. First, regarding its current condition, there was damage across several parts. Many pages had numerous folds. Additionally, extensive insect damage was found throughout the volume. In addition, many pages were significantly stained. The binding was also loose and disorganized, causing the pages to be out of order. Regardless of the type of restoration, we always begin with the same step, a detailed investigation before any work starts. In this step, we are using brushes to remove dust and dirt from the surface without using any water. We are carefully undoing the binding and separating the volume sheet by sheet. After disassembly, we proceed with the restoration of each page one by one. To prevent any loss of the written text during the process, we are applying resin to the surface to stabilize the ink and prevent flaking. Next, pure water is sprayed onto the surface to wash away dirt from the paper. The dirt is drawn into the absorbent paper below, which ensures a safe and thorough cleaning of each sheet. This book had a significant amount of small-scale insect damage. To repair these areas, we are currently applying tiny pieces of Japanese paper to fill the holes. In this step as well, we are filling the missing areas by applying Japanese paper as a reinforcement. As many of you are likely familiar, I think, with this technique, we are using the leaf casting method here to fill the missing areas. After the infilling is complete, the pages are pressed and dried. Once the restoration is complete, we take high-resolution photographs to record the condition of the book after treatment. After the photographic documentation is complete, the pages are rebound with thread to restore the book to its original form. This is a completed state of the book following the restoration work. By comparing this with the pre-restoration records, you can clearly see that the condition has become extremely stable. The numerous areas of insect damage have also been appropriately filled and repaired. The dirt has been removed, leaving the pages clean, and the deformation of the paper has been properly corrected. By comparing the side views from before and after the restoration, you can clearly see how the deformation of the paper has been corrected. To ensure the long-term stability and preservation of these restored books, we have created new storage boxes. These boxes are made from acid-free paper. I believe many of you are using similar archival boxes in your own institutions. Whether dealing with books or any other types of cultural property, housing items in preservation boxes is a highly effective preservation method. In cases where many books remain unboxed, we are systematically working to house each one. We also select materials by monitoring the air quality to ensure they are appropriate for the environment. Restoration is crucial, but keeping documentation is just as essential. What you see on the screen now is a restoration record compiled by the conservator in charge of this work. The museum must keep these restoration records forever. They are essential if the same object needs treatment again in the future. Moreover, these records help transfer restoration skills to the next generation. We also prepare reports specifically for public access. Since a few years ago, we have been offering the Tokyo National Museum's restoration reports online for free. While these are currently only in Japanese, they are accessible to anyone interested in our work. We are also committed to sharing our expertise in restoration and our approach to conservation with our museum visitors, helping them understand how we protect these cultural properties. Part of our permanent exhibition space introduces the museum's conservation activities. This gallery displays restoration tools and materials, along with exhibits on preventive conservation and scientific research. We also raise public awareness by organizing guided tours for children and hosting receptions for our supporters. So this is an overview of how we preserve cultural properties at the Tokyo National Museum. This is the end of the slides. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.